Hola, hola. Hello, hello. Welcome. Bienvenidos. I'm Elizabeth Garcia, wrapping up today the fourth day of Wacom Academy. And thank you so much for joining me. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, as well as the Wacom Academy Forum. Today, I have the honor to share this webinar with Mike Atniel, Simpsons animator for Disney.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Longtime Wacom friend, Little Mermaid lover, and also today he's going to be showing us so many things. He's going to be sharing some secrets about how he renders his colors to make things look very realistic. He's going to be answering a lot of questions from the audience, walking us a little bit through his process, how he works, the tools he uses. And yes, he'll be answering some questions about Simpsons, the Simpsons, and how he draws Homer. We're going to save all those questions for the end. But for those of you not familiar with Mike Atniel, I would like for Mike to tell us a little bit about who he is, how long he's been working for the Simpsons, and what, where we can find him online, and what his favorite Wacom tool is.
Yeah, so as Elizabeth mentioned, I do work on The Simpsons. I started there when I was 18. I'm 36 now, so I've been there for a while. So my job there is as a character animator. So we take whatever script we get and the boards we get from the board artists, and we make them come to life. So we get the audio and we get like the layout of the shot, and then our job is to listen to the acting and basically become the actor and make those characters do what is proper for the scene.
That's amazing. And you've been doing it for so long, Mike.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
muscle memory now.
That's amazing. So that's why you've been focusing on Homer, right? That's who you work on.
I mean, no, that was just me being lazy and not coming up with a clever name.
Oh my God. I always thought that was your specialty at the show, that
No,
you work
we
only
have
with
to
him.
we have to draw whoever is in our scene and section.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. And so what at the studio you have your tools. Now you're working from home, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
You are you getting to mimic that same setup at home?
I think it's a little better because I'm not stuck in a cubicle. So
Can
I
you
get
tell
to
us
be in my own room, but there is one problem. I have too many toys and games and distractions here, which is kind of a problem, but I get through it.
Oh man, I bet you have a lot of swag from all the shows.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So tell us a little bit about your setup and what
Um,
I guess your toolkit for work.
so for work, I use the bigger Cintiq 24 Pro just because we have a lot of tools that we use and I need all the window space I can get. So, because we have a bar for the timing of the shot, we have a bar for the design, we have a little window for the area where we actually draw and animate. So, for us, the bigger the better. So, like the 24 is like the perfect size that I use. And I can have all my tools in as I work.
That's in terms of a screen. That's awesome. So you've been using Cintiq for a while. What about
Yeah.
softwares? What is your toolkit
Um,
in terms of software?
for work, we use Harmony, which is by Toon Boom.
Yes.
And for my own illustrations, I like to use Sketchbook Pro. That's where I do like my sketching and my line work, and then I bring that into Photoshop, is where I do all the coloring and rendering.
Is that what you use all the time, or just what you like refine? Like
Um,
these are like the ones I know I'm gonna use every day, or do you also use like Photoshop? Or you
uh,
always
so I think it's, yeah, mainly Sketchbook. It's so easy to use. It's so intuitive that if I'm just having a doing like an idea like pops into my head, I can easily open up and start sketching. Then when I want to refine it, yeah, I'll always go into Photoshop and do make it look pretty.
right? So you are working with a lot, like you say, you have a lot of things open in your Cintiq. You're working
Yeah,
with timelines, and you're animating, so you
yeah.
need some power. What's the hardware that you have? What kind of computer do you use?
Well,
What kind
for
of
my
work?
personal work, I use a PC because I also do sometimes I do some 3D stuff with Maya and ZBrush. But for work, I think everybody in Disney now is using MacBook, not MacBook. I'm sorry, What's the one where it's just the screen, the big one?
Oh,
iMac.
the IMAX,
iMac.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we use that for work. I think just because it's a lot easier for everybody to work together under a server using uh, that system than it is for the
Right.
PC.
Tell me something, Mike. At the studio, when you're working, and you guys are, do you ever, do you always start on digital? Is there any work still done on paper? Do you
Um,
still sketch on paper at the studio?
Maybe the storyboard artists when they're coming up with the shots in their head, maybe they'll kind of put notes down, but everything is digital now.
So everything you're working on digital. So it's very common now, just coming with sketches already on digital before you,
Yeah.
except storyboarding. I imagine storyboarding is a lot of back and forth. So
Yeah, because they'll do stuff on post-its and but when it comes to for them to make the final storyboard, it's all in Storyboard Pro, which is another Harmony program.
well, what are you going to show us, Mike? Let's see how this program that you work on looks. I'd like to see you
Sure.
share the
Let me share
screen
my screen.
and why you love it so much.
Hopefully that works.
This is Sketchbook Pro, guys.
This
If
is
you're not
Sketchbook Pro.
familiar, it's a really nice
So
program.
I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. So usually when you're drawing stuff, it's flat color. You just put the color on, but I like to take, cartoony stuff. You don't really see it like this ever on TV. So I like to take it a step further and, put color with the shading, with highlights, with the volume. So I was showing you guys earlier, a little Homer I did of a mermaid Homer.
Yes, because I was asking you about your T-shirt, and you were saying that the Little
Yeah.
Mermaid was your first crush.
So you don't usually see the characters like this with shades and
Yeah,
lighting. They're always a flat color. So I like to kind of do that to make it seem like they're in the real world, but still look cartoony.
yeah, they still look like The Simpsons, just obviously with
Yeah.
more depth.
Here's another example I did of what a lot of people love, Hans Moleman, which is another character.
Oh yes,
So again, I added shading, lighting, like highlights. I don't know if I can zoom in on this, but you can kind of see
oh yeah, we see it
some of
clear
the
there.
sweat, even in his brow.
Awesome. So
So
that's
it's like
sort
these
of the
little
effect.
details you never see in like the show that I like to play around with.
Yeah, I imagine since you've been working on the show for a long time and you always are used to seeing them in the same
Yeah.
version, you get bored. Maybe you want to see,
Yeah.
little variations. That's awesome.
Yeah, people always ask me, I'm like, you draw this all day for work. How do you have the energy to draw this on your free time? And I always tell them, I'm like, well, work is I'm being told what to draw. When I'm at home, I can do whatever I want with these characters and not be judged.
Right. Well, just to reiterate to those in the chat, he's using Sketchbook Pro, and you
And
can,
I will switch over to Photoshop after I get the sketch. So I'll be
right,
using Sketchbook and Photoshop.
right. And although Mike is using a Cintiq, you don't need a Cintiq to work on Sketchbook Pro. He needs one because he's using, for work, a lot of different programs at the same time.
Yeah.
But what he's going to show you today, you can do with a regular tablet, even
I'm using the Cintiq
one by
22
Wacom.
right now.
Yeah.
Now I can have, because I have two, because I keep switching from computer to computer. And it's a lot easier just to have one set up at each one rather than unplugging, replugging in, unplugging, going back and forth.
Right. For those of you just joining us, I'm with Mike Atniel, animator for The Simpsons, and today he's showing us a little bit of how he likes to stylize color to make characters pop out more, have a little bit more of depth. He's using Sketchbook Pro, his favorite program, and then later he's going to switch to Photoshop. If you're watching right now on Facebook, YouTube, or in the chat in the Wacom Academy forum, send my friends, my team, your questions. I'll send them over to Mike as he's drawing. If you see something that you want him to explain more, let me know. I'll bug him for you.
All
So how do
right.
you usually start?
I like to take a really soft brush because it feels like a pencil. I can go light and then dark, and it's like nice and it's not final. I like the roughness about it. So I'll usually like today I'll be doing a donut, let's say. So I'm gonna be drawing a donut, and I'll try to make that look really nice and make you guys all hungry.
Please
If you guys
do.
get hungry, that means I
It's
did my
the end
job.
of the day, and we all need a donut. We all need a treat. Un postre.
So I like to just start off with like rough, just kind of get the shape of the donut,
And you can really make a donut look delicious with the right details and the right depth.
the right colors.
Doesn't have to be a boring donut, guys.
I'll make the icing on this one extra thick.
When you work, Mike, not in the studio, but when you're at home working, do you
Yeah.
work? I've been asking this question to everybody that I've been doing webinars with. Do you like to work in silence? Are you like me? Or do
Um,
you like to work with music or podcasts?
Honestly, for me, it changes every time. Like
Yeah.
I think it depends on what I'm working on. Like if it's something like this, I'll probably have, cartoons in the background, stuff I've already seen. So I don't have to keep looking up. But when I'm drawing like more serious characters, I'll probably listen to classical music, or even I like to listen to movie scores, like soundtracks. It kind of helps put you in the mood depending on like what kind of character you're creating or what kind of art piece. Just adjusting this a bit.
They just asked me to let you talk, Mike. I'm going to let you talk. It's going to be a very zen.
See, that's the thing. I'm not one of those. I can't. It's hard to talk and draw, so it's easier to answer questions if they have about what I'm doing. Because then I'll go into concentration mode and just be super quiet. But right now, I'm just trying to define the volume so I know when I add the lighting. Like if I add the lighting from here, I know it's going to affect this area. It's going to affect this area. So if I kind of draw this out in 3D first, it'll help a lot.
Perfect. So, Mike, obviously, a lot of people here, their dream job is your actual job. How did you
Mhm.
land that job? How many
Um,
applications did you send? Oh my
a
God.
lot of hard work. I there was some luck involved because I grew up in the same city where the studio is in Southern California. So I would walk by all the time. Just kind of look through the windows. I could see all the animation tables because back then people were still drawing on the old school big tables with the round circle with the papers flipping. So I would always ride by and like kind of look and be like, man, like it's right here, like it's right in my reach. So I found out a good friend of mine that his mom worked in that building. So I managed to get in one day and kind of she introduced me to some of their HR people and people in charge of internships. So what I did was I applied for the internship and I took um, they required college credit. So I signed up for a community college that I didn't go to just to show I was enrolled
Oh
so I could
my
get that
gosh,
internship.
that's amazing.
but but from then on, like, I made sure like I got as much advice as I could from people, kind of seeing hands-on what they do and taking examples like they would have model sheets. I would take those home and like draw and practice over and over and over again. And then learn animation kind of like from videos and seeing what people are doing, seeing their process. Because I always loved to draw. So I didn't really learn how to draw. I kind of learned that before I was there. So it was just learning, the rules of animation while interning. And by the time my internship was done, I took their character animation test, and it passed. So that the next summer I got hired on season 15 is when I started. And now we're 33.
Wow. That is a very long time.
Yeah,
Very cool job.
and when I started, we were still on paper.
Tell me more about that. How was the transition for you?
It was weird at first because I wasn't used to, because the pen and the back then, on the first tablets that came out, it was really glidey and slippery. So it was like drawing with the pen. And animators hate pens. We love pencil. We love that texture. Obviously, as time went on, the screens changed, the pens, the nibs changed, and then we got that pencil feel. It was a lot better. But I mean, other than that, I think we're saving paper, so that's always good. And let's say we get one thing wrong on a character. Back then, we would have to erase. Sometimes the paper would get damaged, or we would have to get rid of a drawing altogether because it's too big. Um, with the Cintiq and with the software out there now, we could just like select a part of the character and then shrink it down rather than having to redraw everything.
What year was that when Camilo Rodriguez is wondering what year was it when The Simpsons went from
It
traditional
was
to digital?
it was after the movie. I want to say 2 years after movie. So maybe 2009, 2010 is when we switched to the tablets. I'd say more 2010. Because it was a process. It started they didn't do it all at once. I think a few artists switched over and then like they kind of figured out like the kinks and what was going on, if there was any like troubleshooting. And then maybe like a year and a half after that, everybody was on the tablets.
Was there any resistance from your peers? A lot of
The older ones. I mean that's a given.
a friend of ours here on the chat, Maricela Nai, says that just looking at this drawing, she's already understanding 3 subjects in school.
Oh yeah?
Well, that's a compliment to you.
Which ones?
Well, we'll ask her. Which ones, Maricel? Another question from Vania Ramirez. How do you have any tips to improve line art? Because she's really bad.
So that's one thing I struggled with too when it came to digital. Um, Obviously, there's tools now to help you with line art. Like for instance, there is this tool which it kind of fixes your line. So if I'll make a new layer. If I do this, it kind of adjusts it. So I don't know if you can see the adjustment taking place. It kind of fixes it to where it's not squiggly. But if you don't like using tools like that, what I like to do, let's say I'm cleaning up this line. I would use your whole arm when you're cleaning up. So I would do that and then kind of like erase, the lines that I'm not using.
Right.
And kind of just like pick and choose your lines. And you can always adjust later. Like, or if you don't like that, there's people even do this. They'll just do this. Like this is another way I was taught. Like just keep doing it until you get it. Like you're not gonna get it perfect your first time. Because one thing you don't want is this. Like you don't want these like chicken scratches, they call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there's so many tools. There's even like these drag tools where it drags, you can see the line before you draw it.
Yep. And doing it with a Wacom pen will help. And there's
Yeah.
a ton of exercises online to improve your stroke.
Yeah, but definitely tools are your friends. I mean, don't depend on them because no matter what tool you draw with isn't going to make you a good artist. Because you still have to know what you're drawing to make that line. You know what I mean? Just because you can draw nice lines doesn't make you're drawing good.
Angelica Trujillo, she's like many of other people in this generation wondering how did they used to animate in paper? What was the
Oh,
process?
so we would start with keyframes. Um, Once we have that keyframe, we would make one breakdown drawing in between that, and then the in-betweens would go in between those. So like, let's say, let me just hide this one. Let's say we have this mysterious character that you guys don't know who it is. So this would be a keyframe. And then next one, here, we'll have him holding a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they're the same size. And then next one, he's drinking it.
Right.
So that will be the next key. So the breakdown goes would be somewhere here. And then in between these two, you'll have, the drawings between where this is and this is. And in between this, you'll have that. So you lay them out like this first. You do the two keys, breakdowns, and then, the drawings in the middle between them for everything. That's how we
Very
plan out like the big actions and stuff like that.
wow.
So on
So
paper, we would have obviously the disc, and we use special paper that you can kind of see through when light is uh, lit under it. And we would have the light under it so we could see the two keys, and we would flip between them and, kind of map out where the in-betweens would go. So, we know we're keeping the same size, keeping the same animation arcs. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot tougher than doing it digital. That's for sure. Because with digital, you could just draw anything out like I just did, adjust it real quick.
so there you have it, Angelica. You have a new appreciation for how much work and how much time
Yeah,
that
it's very tedious work, but seeing the result at the end makes it worth it.
Gustavo Augusto Mendez wants to know if in animation there is a rule that the lines of every object need to have the same size.
Generally, yeah. So if something's further back, it would have thinner lines. If something's closer to camera, it would have thicker lines. That's usually the rule with even illustration, not just animation. It's just a general rule.
Is Sketchbook like Photoshop and now you're working in layers?
Yeah. So right now I'm working over my rough layer. So when I'm done with my line work, I can delete, the rough drawing I did under it.
Right. So now that things are done digitally, say around how long Pablo Jose Galeano wants to know how long does the team take to animate one episode of The Simpsons?
Well, there's two teams, one overseas and one here. Altogether, probably about 6 months. But if you're counting like the writing and the storyboarding, all that stuff, it's about 9 months.
So the animation is
Like
done in,
just the animation part, probably 6 months.
yeah.
Because it's still done in Korea. That's where they do the cleanup and all the other in-betweens that we didn't do. So we send them all the rough in-betweens, the keys, and the timing, and then they do the cleanup, the in-betweens, and the coloring. and then we get that back, and then we edit it here.
So by the time we see something, it's been 9 months in the making, guys.
Yeah.
And so many people behind it. Have you worked on any shows outside The Simpsons?
No, but I did work on a couple of 3D animation stuff for video games. I worked on NBA 2K16 and Mafia 3, they're both 2K games. I was not in charge, but I was on the team that was in charge of doing all the cut scenes. So we did all like the in between the game scenes where it cuts to like a little movie. We did the character animation for those. Now finding the perfect pink. What I like to do, I like to duplicate the line work.
Yeah.
So I always have that as a reference if I need to go back. And the color fill tool. That might be too pink.
Are you on Twitch or another streaming service? Do you stream and maybe?
Oh yeah, so I do a lot of that actually. On Twitch, I play a lot of video games more than drawing, but I'm really into the pirate game. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, you love pirates.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves. So I've always loved pirates as a kid. That's why I like Peter Pan and stuff like that were my favorite cartoons growing up. So I'm always playing that and streaming that. So my name on Twitch is Deep Sea Homer instead of I Draw Homer.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell our friends in chat, if you want to check out Mike Atniel's profile on Instagram, he's I Draw Homer. All together, I Draw Homer. And then you said on Twitch is Deep Sea Homer?
Deep Sea, yeah. All one word.
Deep Sea Homer.
All right, so after this process, where I have the flat color, this is where I take it into Photoshop and start doing the shading. So let me save this out. Save it as a Photoshop file.
And while Mike is doing this, I want to remind everybody in the chat, if you're not doing so already, I invite you to participate in Wacom Atrévete 2021, Wacom Atrévete 2021, because we're giving away 10 Wacom ones. You have until October 5th. The challenge is to turn your pandemic hero into a superhero. So if during the pandemic, you were really depressed and Homer Simpson brought you happiness, turn him into a superhero and share your artwork with the hashtag Wacom Atrévete 2021 for a chance to win one of 10 Wacom ones. And here we are. Now we are in Photoshop. So yeah. Mike went from Sketchbook Pro to Photoshop.
Let me just make sure. I can close that out now.
Elizabeth Agopian has a question, Simpsons related question. I think you can talk about this.
Okay.
How how do you guys achieve, obviously, I don't know how to translate this question. How do you guys are able to make episodes that sort of predict one another? It's part of the charm of the show.
I think we've been around so long that some of the stories we do just have to be real. Because
Yeah.
there's so many scenarios and so many stories that, things come true every once in a while. And I mean, they're based off of real events. So just, they're educated guesses here and there. So to some people, I know that it seems like we're predicting the future. But in some cases, people got it wrong, where we copied a real event and then people, post a meme about it and then people believe it because, they're seeing it online. But yeah, it's like some of the stuff that was going on. What was it, like maybe 2016, where things were getting really weird? Like there was a there was events happening that we would reference and then make fun of, but then people thought it was the other way around, where we did it first and then it happened. All right, so I made a layer on top of the donut and I put it on a multiply layer. So I'm going to sample this color. If that wants to work. There we go. So the lighting, I'm deciding on. I'll just go with what I did earlier. The main light's going to come from here, like that direction. That means everything on the opposite side of that is going to be in shadow. So I get the same color on a new layer, make it a multiply. And what I like to do, just to make things clean, is I hold Alt and click between the layers. That means this is masked to the layer under it. So you won't, like, if I draw here, if I draw, it won't go past the donut. It'll
Right.
stay only where there's color. And to go a step further, I like to select only the bottom part. This is where the line, keeping the original line work comes in handy, because now you can select just that area that you want to, partition off. And I like to go with a soft brush. We'll lower that a bit. Let's go a little darker. So when things are in shadow, they have more saturation and they're more darker. Let's see them. There we go. One there. Of course, I always do this stupid mistake where I draw on the layer I'm not supposed to be on. There we go.
It happens. So you always do your coloring in Photoshop, or is there another
I just prefer the brushes.
Yeah.
So this part is not being hit by the light coming from this arrow. That would be the darkest part. Again, I'm keeping these like lines on so I could see the volume.
While you're shading, I'm going to ask you a question that Juliana Julissa has.
Sure.
Mike, how can I make my drawings look aesthetically more attractive and beautiful?
That is just rendering choice, honestly. Picking the right colors. Um, It's, you know, it's such a hard thing to explain because there's so many factors that go into it. It really depends on your art style, and again, picking right colors, making them shading if you want. Look at a lot of design books. There's so many out there. Find, I guess, find an artist that you like and try to mimic like some of their pieces. And while you're copying them, not tracing, copying them, you see and understand what choices they made, and then you can start implementing that kind of stuff into your own work. So you have to look at what you think is, you know, really like attractive for art and what's appealing in your opinion, and you know, copy that. And in doing that, you will see, you know, you'll understand why they're doing what they did or how they did.
I've also heard many people that an easy way to improve almost any drawing is to rework the light and the shadows. And just by really focusing on lighting can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Like right now, Mike is teaching us how to make this donut aesthetically more delicious with light, with color.
You can already kind of see like there's volume to it, like, you know, lights hitting it.
Would you not have been able to do this on sketchbook, or you just prefer?
Oh, I prefer, for these, I prefer tools in Photoshop, like the
Okay.
selecting and the layers. It's more easy for me to blend because sketchbook is a little more intuitive and simple. This one I can get a little more creative with. So now I'm going to pick a harder brush because this icing is really close.
Have you, Gustavo Augusto Mendez, have you ever had the chance to meet Matt Growing?
Yeah. So he's the one that basically gives us notes at the end. Like sometimes he'll give us character notes. If some of us are drawing them, you know, kind of weird, he'll always come in with little notes to help fix it. Like a couple of seasons ago, the pupils were too big, so now we have to like draw the pupils smaller. He always still has, he's very involved, and he always has notes.
I've seen this question in the chat several times, but I'm not sure what they mean. So I'm going to ask you, maybe you know what they mean. What is the type of frame animation called? I would like to study that. Frame animation.
Frame animation.
Are they?
I mean, it's just called traditional animation. Uh, we do 24 frames a second. I mean, I don't know exactly what the question is.
Maybe they are. Maybe they mean stop motion.
Oh,
Maybe. I don't know.
for
Whoever
clay?
asked that question, can you please reframe it so that we know what you mean by frame animation? We're curious. But let's talk a little bit about that while you're doing that. What does one study to become an animator, or can you just be self-taught? You went to school for it, or did you teach yourself?
I taught myself at first, but then I went back to school. And going back to school and learning from the professionals really helped me come up with a better like a pipeline. Because teaching yourself, yeah, you can do it, but having the experience of someone who's been doing it and teaching you like the traditional way breaks down everything so much easier. And the way they explain it, you know, really puts things into other perspectives for you. And I had one teacher who showed me his process, and I've been using it since. Like with that, what I showed you, just do the keys first. I mean, that's not the only way to do it, but seeing that helped me out a lot because I used to go from pose to pose to pose, but having it planned out is so much better because it's you do all your thinking in the beginning, and then you can have fun drawing afterwards instead of like constantly worrying about, what your next pose is. So I definitely recommend some kind of like animation school, and you get to learn the animation principles too, which are very important, like spacing, timing, appeal, things like that.
Are animation programs super long?
It depends. There is some schools that require other classes before you get into those classes, but I'm sure there's online courses for digital animation. It's the problem I had was learning the software first and then going into it. But once you learn the software and you can be more comfortable in it, then it's easy writing from there.
But I know you're not a hiring manager at
Right.
Disney, but in your opinion, how closely do these hiring managers look at someone's resume and look at people's school and say, oh, this one is
I mean,
traditionally educated?
it's hard to say because yeah, they like when people go to school and they finish because it shows that they can start something and finish it. But if someone has the natural talent, they're really good and they're proficient in what they do, of course they're going to give them a shot. Just because they didn't, go to school doesn't mean they're not going to give them a chance.
Guys, I'm not saying don't go to school, but I know that with COVID and school can be really expensive, Mike.
Yeah, no, I trust me. I'm still paying for mine.
It's very expensive. And I've seen some amazing self-taught artists out there that I'm like, wow. Let's see. What are you doing right here, Mike? I like what you're doing.
So again, I'm paying attention to my arrow and where the light's not going to hit. I'm just darkening it up right now with a soft brush. Later, I want to go define it more with the hard brush, but right now I'm just doing it the rough area where it's not hitting. So obviously, it's going to hit like I should have a layer like a teaching layer. Here we go. It's going to hit like again. It's going to affect this area here. I should use a different color. It's going to hit this area. This area. It's going to hit this area. It's not going to reach, the part where it's like this side and this side. Wait, again, I'm using the same color. So this side is going to be, not really affected by that light. Same with here. On the back side of the donut, it's not really going to get that light.
Yeah. It's only in the green part.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do again is resample that dark color and make sure I'm going to multiply.
Mateus is asking, do you recommend any book on animation? Do you know of any good books that can help?
The one I started out with is one by Preston Blair, who is a Disney animator.
Preston Blair.
Yeah, I'll pull that up actually because I'm a firm believer in this book. Because it's
All
not
right.
just that, it teaches you a lot about character design also.
Awesome. I'm all for sharing resources. People can get inspired before they jump into.
And it's actually really cheap on Amazon right now.
Remember, we are streaming in Latin America, and some places don't have Amazon.
Okay.
But you can give us a
about,
name and we will find it. We will find it because in Latin America, we're resourceful.
okay.
We will find it.
This is what it looks like. This is the cover. So it's called Cartoon Animation with Preston Blair. And I'm sure there's online PDFs you can get too.
There you go, Mateus.
This is the one I learned with. So it actually teaches you some, animation cycles like walk cycles and like animal running cycles. It has a lot of information in it. It's really good. There's also the Animator Survival Toolkit, which I also recommend. It's by Richard Williams. And that
Richard
one
William.
is this one. The awesome thing about these books is that for people that are doing 3D animation, it still applies because all the principles are the same, except you're not drawing them. It's more like puppeteering, but it's all the same information that a 3D animator would use. So this one's my next recommendation. Those are the two best books for animation, in my opinion.
I love that some of the principles are so timeless. Even these books that look
Yeah,
like from the 90s are still relevant.
yeah. This is pretty much the Bible of animators.
It's the Bible. Take note, guys. If you want to be an animator, make sure you have this in your bookshelf.
Yeah, because this you can use with 3D with cover my stuff. Like you can use it with anything. Like even when you're editing videos, if you're using like motion graphics, like some of these rules apply to that too.
We're loving this donut. We have some animation related questions here from Kevin Cepeda. Do you have any tips so that animations can end up looking more fluid and higher in quality? Fluid.
Always make sure fluidity comes from using spacing and arcs. Now I'm thinking I should have done an animation seminar.
Well, maybe next time, Mike. I told you want.
I thought people liked illustrations and nice.
We love illustration, but we have a lot of animation questions,
Okay.
and I think it's because you're an animator for The Simpsons. But we are loving the donut. We love the color detail. Continue. We're still learning from this, but Kevin Cepeda is just wondering about that. But I love that you recommended the books.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, later we will bring back Mike for an animation webinar. Clearly, we need to have one. But we do have a lot of animation webinars on the Wacom YouTube channel. If you just go to our webinar playlist, and we also had some during Wacom Academy, so check out the programming. I know we have them all saved on Facebook. What happens, Mike, when you get a creative block? Juliana Julisa is wondering.
When that happens, I usually just kind of walk away, step away from what I'm doing. I'll go look at things that I like to watch, get inspiration, because if you keep doing that, you're just gonna frustrate yourself even more. So it's always good to like kind of walk away from something you're frustrated with or you can't figure out. Give your eyes a break, because sometimes you'll walk away and then like I do that with my like animations. Like if I do like a scene, I'm not very happy with it, I'll like walk away, I'll go for a walk, and then I'll come back to it and I'll look at it again with fresh eyes and be like, oh, I see what I was doing wrong, so like I'll go in and adjust those things. Another thing too that's really helpful is if you're drawing digital, every software has an option where you can flip your drawing. So when you flip it, it looks like a brand new drawing, like you're looking at somebody else's drawing. And when you do that, you can see stuff you couldn't see earlier. It's an animation trick too.
Just to flip it.
Yeah, just flip the whole picture horizontally. So basically mirror it. Once you mirror it, you'll see like for instance this. Like let's say something doesn't look right. Usually you can go to image rotation, flip canvas horizontal. Like I already see some mistakes I made. Like there's some stuff that's wrong here.
Well, your eye's more refined than mine. because I don't.
But I can always adjust that in another layer. So now I am going to add, and let me flip that back because now it's messing up my eyes.
When
So
you put it
now,
together, sorry, go on.
oh, sorry. Now I'm just creating another layer, but I put this one on overlay. It makes things lighter. So I'll pick this pink color, and when I draw it, like it'll make things lighter. And of course, with light, you want to go less saturation, more brightness. I'll select the top part of the donut again.
What's your favorite type of donut, Mike?
The one I'm drawing. Once I got the
Strawberry
sprinkles
donut?
in, yeah, the strawberry.
What about you, chat?
And this is
What's your
Homer's
favorite
favorite
donut
too.
flavor? I'm more of a concha person myself. Next time, I'm
All
gonna
right, next
ask
time I'll
you to
draw
draw a
that.
concha. Do you know what conchas are, Mike?
Yeah, I buy them sometimes. They're very addicting. They're really good with like hot chocolate.
They're great with. Have you ever had chocolate abuelita, Mike?
Yeah, actually.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
amazing. Have you visited Mexico lately, Mike?
I have never been.
Never. Guys, we need to invite him.
I'd love to go.
Well, not just Mexico. We have friends from all over Latin America in the chat. I'm sure they'll say, hey, not just Mexico. You should go to Argentina, Colombia.
I definitely want to go to Argentina one day.
The Simpsons has fans worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to continue with the questions here. Angelica Trujillo is wondering something about The Simpsons. In The Simpsons, the illustrators divide the characters among them to animate and design them.
Um,
She's wondering if, I think you answered that earlier.
like if
Like,
different animators do different characters.
yeah, say, you do these characters and then you rotate
Okay,
them.
no, so they separate it by scenes.
Okay.
So like I'll have the first, section of the episode of Act One. So that's all me, no matter who's in that, which character is in there. Like another artist will have the next section of the act. So they just give section by section, and then we're responsible for all the shots there. Like one time I think, I don't remember if I told this story, but I had to draw 40 characters running around. It took me 2 weeks to do, and it was only on screen for about 4 seconds.
Wow. That's the life of the animator, guys. But it felt good, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So there you have it, Angelica. It's just whatever scenes they get assigned. It may change. Let's see. Lourdes Rodriguez Ponce. What advice can you give to the persons who want to make their first animation short film?
Um, don't overwhelm yourself. That's the first rule. Know what your limitations are. I mean, set the bar high. You don't want to just do mediocre work. But there's gonna be a lot of frustration. Just don't let that get you down. Like again, know what your capabilities are and set a reasonable goal for you to hit. Like if you know what you want to do, like is he talking about 2D or 3D? Because at 3D, you'll need to know like rigging and how to model the characters. And with 2D, you need to know like cleanup, in betweens, Like usually nobody does this alone. Everybody has a team. So I would definitely recommend a team of people that have the same interest and same goal.
Yeah, Lourdes. If you have time, Lourdes, you should go to YouTube, Wacom YouTube, and check out Cartoon Crunch. We made a little series uh, in which we took, I believe it was 10 students, and we asked them to do a little short film. It was an animated short, only 1 minute, and it took them like a week to do it. And it was 11 students, and they had mentors, and they divided the work. It was very time consuming, even just a minute long. But go check it out, Juliana. Or sorry, Lourdes. It's called Cartoon Crunch. Juliana Julisa is asking, Mike, how do you choose your color palettes?
I pick the main color, and depending on the lighting, that's how you know like where to go from there. But if you want to do like, there's color theory classes you can take, and they'll teach you about complementary colors, what colors go with what color, because like if you're using too many different colors, it's gonna look muddy. So like if you're using, let's say, like let's see, a good brush, like this kind of blue, always looks good, with the orange, like this. These colors always go together. These are complementary colors. Like red would always look good with it, like this kind of a green. You got yellow and purple. Those are complementary colors. I would definitely recommend getting a color wheel if you're interested in color.
That's great advice. Get a color wheel. My art teacher tells me to look at nature because nature doesn't make
Yeah,
mistakes.
there you go. That's even better than what I said.
Let's see. Oh, this was a great question by Jose Daniel Alvarez. How does a team in a show like The Simpsons make sure that the characters look consistent, although different teams work on the characters?
So that's why we have the model sheets. So they're like, think of instructions. So every character has his own sheet of how to draw them. How big the eye is versus the ear, or where the nose is to the top of the ear. Like Homer's, the perfect example is actually Homer. Let me pull
Yeah,
this
you
up
told me
real
there was
quick.
a formula for him, right?
Yeah, so we always start with that circle and then bring it down like a thumb. And at the bottom of the circle is where the first eye goes. And then the halfway line right there is between the nose. And this line goes all the way to the top of the ear. And that's where the M sits. We kind of make that a little more round. And this eye is where the first hair goes. So you put one eye and another eye. And then you can think of the mouth like think of, this is the best way I can describe it. Think of two coconuts.
Oh, yeah, two coconuts for sure. One bigger than the other.
Yeah. Of course, this is like really rough because once you get the muscle memory down, people don't even do this anymore. They'll just go straight into
No, but thank you for explaining. I'm sure some
yeah.
viewers wanted to see.
So when we do our roughs, we'll do something like this just to put down on the paper with a really light pencil, and then we'll go over it. And what we do is like we get that layer, we turn it down.
I imagine you can do this with your eyes closed, in your
Probably not.
sleep. I love it. I love that. It's the secret that Luisa Carolina summarized it so funny. The secret formula for Homer is 2 coconuts and 3 eyes.
Yeah. And then his sleeves are just upside down teacups. And
Wow. Yeah, there's Homer.
then his body, think of a upside down light bulb.
An upside down light bulb.
Or actually, no, that's a regular light bulb. They're usually hanging upside down.
Oh, yes, the belly.
Yeah, that's the belly, like the shirt. You get the little collar there. There's the teacups.
And people in the chat are saying they've never seen somebody draw Homer so quickly in their life.
Well, I mean, it's my job to draw them quickly, or else I'd get fired.
That's right. I'm glad you can draw him so well.
So my job depends on the quickness.
So obviously, I mean, do you guys ever like recycle stuff? Because it's a lot of repetition.
Very,
Okay, that
very,
question by
very seldom. It's like maybe crowds. If there's like a football stadium with crowd, that's it. But other than that, no. Everything's always redrawn and done fresh.
Sorry, that question was by Jose Daniel. I also was wondering that. I'm surprised you say no.
Oh, for the recycling?
Yeah, I
I mean,
because there's so many.
they don't want things to look the same. Or I know a lot of old cartoons did that, like Robin Hood did that with Jungle Book animation back in the day to save money.
Oh yeah,
But
and then they got caught, right?
yeah. Well, it
It was
wasn't until later where they noticed it.
they noticed it and there was all kinds of memes about it.
But yeah, we do everything from scratch. Like I said, like once in a while, if there's like a football stadium and there's crowds, we might have a couple of stock crowd designs to put in there. But like anything happening in the main shot is always fresh.
There you have it. No shortcuts in The Simpsons.
All right, so now that we have some of our lighting, I can add in some of the details.
Juliana wants to know if you recommend always starting in black and white and then going to color, or can you start in color?
I like starting in color. Um, if you're new, it's better to start in black and white so you can pick your values and where they are. But once you do that for a while, then you can kind of see it. And you don't have to do that. I mean, people work differently. Some people still like to do that. Because I know a lot of digital artists and digital who do like concept work. They like to work in values like black and whites first, and then add the color later. So it just depends on what you like.
It won't impact the
No,
ultimate.
usually the end result is always the same.
Wonderful. Do you draw every day, Mike? Is this something like, even after all these years, a whole career, do you still practice every day or?
I mean, I guess work is still considered practice. So yeah. Again, I don't consider it work.
That must be such a joy to have a job that feels like play.
Yeah. I mean, it does get stressful. Don't get me wrong. It is a job at the end of the day. You have to get it done.
But then at the end of the day, don't you just go to sleep and say, I work for The Simpsons. I make The Simpsons.
I think in the beginning it was like that, but it's like now I'll wake up and be like, all right, what do I have to do tomorrow? I need to get this shot done. I need to get these poses done. Yeah, it's different. Like I said, when I first started, I was in dreamland still.
But we think it's still pretty dreamy. Um, After all these years of working for that series, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of teams come and go and a lot of anecdotes. Do you have any really fun stories that you would like to share with the audience?
um, Trying to think. I
Let
mean,
that simmer.
sorry.
You may want to let that simmer and think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I think I'm gonna think about it.
Angelica Trujillo is wondering, have you ever daydreamed working in a different animation project? If so, which one would be a dream job?
Definitely Pixar.
Pixar.
Pixar. I love all their stories. I love the style of characters, the style of animation, and that's when I was like in sixth grade when Toy Story came out, and when I saw that and I saw what 3D animation does, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. That looks way cooler. But then my love of drawing took over, and I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just draw. But if I was to work anywhere else, I would definitely choose Pixar.
You see, Mike, I don't like to cry, and almost every Pixar movie makes me sob, like sob. So, I mean, it's beautiful, but they're very sad.
Yeah, I think they do that on purpose.
So earlier, people were complimenting your T-shirt. So was I. You told me your character crush, your first character
Yeah.
crush was Little Mermaid. Do you have another character crush now?
No, it's still her.
It's still her. What about you, Chad? I want to know who your character crush is.
Yeah, who out there likes Marge?
Marge? Oh my God. I don't know. I was really into Aladdin. I'm not gonna lie.
Why was it Aladdin?
I don't know. He was just so adventurous and like rogue and sort of just I don't know. He was great. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the chat and see. Mike, have you ever used a Wacom One?
Yeah, actually, I did.
Did you
Uh,
like it?
Very shortly. Um, I love it for just quick sketching. But if you're gonna do like high quality work where you're constantly using your eraser and you need the bigger space, I would definitely recommend going bigger. The Wacom one, I always recommend to kids that are going for school or ask about their first tablet. I always recommend that one because that's kind of the one that where it sets the bar. Like you'll know whether you want digital art or not, and it's kind of safe because it's more affordable, obviously. So it's a safe little risk to take. But yeah, if you start liking that one, then I would definitely move up after that one. But it's a very good starter.
Yeah, if you're ready to draw on screen, it is more affordable than a Cintiq, and but it has still gives you that paper feel.
Yeah. So right now I'm just adding some highlights and kind of erasing them until it looks pretty good. I
I
always
was
use a soft
wondering.
eraser. I always draw it and then erase to give it a little more of that natural look.
I want to remind people in the chat where you can find Mike Atniel on social media. On Instagram, he goes by I Draw Homer. And I think you said on Twitch it was Deep Sea Homer.
Yeah.
Deep Sea Homer. But he's also I Draw Homer on Twitter.
What did I do here?
You made it really big.
Oh, is that what happened?
It looks like it.
Can't seem to move it anymore. Let's see if we can center it back.
Any advice? Ken Cerda is entering the industry. He's an animator. Any advice for somebody entering brand new to the industry of animation from a veteran like you?
Definitely look to see what's your favorite animation style, number one. Are you trying to do 3D, 2D? Do you want more cartoony, more realistic? Research what you like, because if you start going into something like really complicated, like super realistic animation, like you can definitely cause some headache for yourself. So if you're doing something you love and you love figuring that out, that's going to be even better. But definitely those two books I recommended are amazing. And practice, start with a bouncing ball, because once you master that bouncing ball, you can build everything else off of that, because that one teaches you timing, spacing, actually, I can pull something up. Let's see if it still have it. Hopefully you guys can see this. Maybe get on this monitor. So the software I'm about to show you right now is called Toon Boom, and it's the one we use. So this started with the bouncing ball, and then from there I added wings and head and feet. But this is a perfect example like of a flying cycle. Oops. So that's like a bat creature or anything. It could be a dragon. So like I started with the ball. It's just bouncing up and down, and then from there I added wings, and then from there I added the head and then the feet. So everything starts, you can trace back that bouncing ball animation to everything else pretty much as far as principles go.
And this is why Mike is saying that he needs that bigger canvas, because at
Yeah.
any given time, he's probably working with several of these.
Yeah. And I'll have like a model sheet up of the character I'm working on. Like usually this is a lot bigger so I can be timing, and my timeline down here is a lot bigger. So on the bigger one, which is, well, you guys can't see it behind me, this looks a lot bigger. So I have more room to actually draw. Yeah, this is the software we use. This is what it looks like.
But yeah,
Boom Boom Harmony.
and this animation came from a very simple principle, the bouncing ball.
Yeah.
And that's a great one to master if you're starting out. A very good friend of ours, his name is Travis Blaze, has a really nice Twitch channel as well called Sketch to Animate, and he explains this principle very, very well. Go check him out. Sketch to Animate, Travis Blaze. Do you know Travis?
I don't know him personally. I know his work.
He explained that exact thing that you just showed me.
I don't know what happened to that, but I'm just gonna restart Photoshop real quick.
Did you lose your donut?
No, I saved it. I think. For some reason, it just froze. There we go. Yeah, it's back. There we go. I don't know why that happened, but we're back to normal.
How many departments, Gary Erazo Delgado wonders, how many art departments? I'm not sure I understand por cuántos? How many art departments or how many phases does the episode go before it makes it to TV?
So it goes through the storyboard phase where they plan out all the shots. And then after that, it comes to the animators. We basically bring that shot to life that the board artist did. And then from us, it goes to the background artist, which what we do is we add like a rough background. So the background artist knows where they're placed in the scene. And then they take our drawing and do a nice, clean line work, beautiful background. From there, it goes to color. So the color designers do all the color designs for each background and each character. And then from there, it goes to Korea where they do all the in-betweens and then line work and then color, final color. And then it comes back to us and then we edit and then it airs. And sometimes like they'll change something or something comes back that the writers weren't happy with. They can call for a change and then they'll go through another round. But it's a lot faster this time because it's a lot closer to the air date. They're called retakes.
A lot of steps.
Yeah.
What's your favorite canvas size, Carlos Manuel? I think he asked earlier.
For like the Wacom size, drawing size?
No, like for like right now in
It
Photoshop.
depends. Usually I know if I'm gonna get something printed or not. If I'm just doodling, I'll just have it at 1080. Just a regular widescreen 1080. If I know I'm gonna get something printed, I usually do 11 by 17 at 300 DPI. That's when I know if I'm gonna get something printed or not.
Yeah. Have you ever worked on a software called Clip Studio Paint, Mike?
Everybody recommends that, but I think that's just not for me. I tried it before. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that layout only because I'm so used to Photoshop and I'm so used to Sketchbook that I get lost and then I can't concentrate on my drawing part because I'm concentrating on how to, the technical side of it. And I kind of lost interest that way.
Well, we disagree with Mike, guys. We disagree with Mike. We include Clip Studio Paint in all of our Wacom ones and our Intuos. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's in our Intuos, yes. It's a trial. And if you don't have Photoshop, because Photoshop is very expensive.
Yeah.
Try to do this exact same thing that Mike is doing with Clip Studio. It has amazing tools. And you may like it. You may enjoy it. I do.
Like for me, it's a comfort thing.
Don't worry. I'm just, I'm a big proponent of trying out different things, especially when you're in a budget, Mike. Because don't get me wrong, we love Photoshop, but it is pricey. Do you know if Sketchbook Pro is free? Do they have a free?
It should be free.
Yeah, I think that one is free. I definitely now really want a donut. People in the chat are talking about Krita.
What's that?
Do you use Krita?
Is that a software?
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't used that one.
They're saying it's not free. Maybe there's a light version of Sketchbook Pro that exists that is free.
Really? I thought it was free. I've been using the free version this whole time, unless they recently changed it.
No, you know what? I think you're right. Sketchbook Pro is free, and they're talking about Photoshop in the
Oh
chat.
yeah, Photoshop is
I'm
like
gonna go away from the chat because I'm getting confused. Yes. Thank you so much for everybody still tuned in. Wacom Academy wrapping up today with Mike Atniel. We have him for a few more minutes. Please send me your questions. Mike is showing us how to improve color and light, the little details that you add to your work to really make it stand out, make it more polished. And he's also answering questions about animation, getting your career started, and his work with The Simpsons. So now you're saying that The Simpsons has gone all digital, right? They've gone
yeah.
away from traditional animation.
As far as paper goes, but we still do everything traditionally except not on paper. We're still drawing by hand, obviously.
Right,
uh,
obviously.
so yeah, it's the digital version of traditional animation. That makes sense.
What's the, when you're starting out and you're trying to find a job in animation and you're building your portfolio, do you have a few tips to just make that first portfolio a winner one, something that actually gets you a callback?
Portfolio for animation or portfolio for illustration?
For animation.
For animation, so it depends on what you're going for. A lot of people like to concentrate in action. A lot of people like to do acting. Obviously, companies like to see both, but I would say put your strongest pieces. You don't have to show much. Maybe like it can even be less than a minute, but if what you're putting is really good, like they love to see acting, like emotions, changes in emotion. So if somebody's happy, like and it quickly changes emotions, they want to see that change in body language and facial expression. If he's just sad all throughout the scene or happy throughout the scene, like that doesn't really do much. They want to see that you can make the character feel stuff by changing emotions, and then they love to see walk cycles. If you have a really good walk cycle, um, that's very important because characters walk all the time, and if someone doesn't know how to do that, then they're in trouble. uh, Good dialogue, like I said, they really like to focus on acting because a lot of these companies, they're making movies. They're not just making like little action sequences. So they want to make sure you know how to like show emotion through that character and to make them feel alive. So if you can find maybe like two good acting pieces and maybe two good action pieces uh, that you're really, really proud of, I would put that in your demo reel. But don't put anything as filler just to do it because they're going to think, okay, he put that in there or he or she put that in there and they're really proud of it. So this means that's one like some of their best work. So if you're just putting stuff just to put there, I wouldn't do that. Definitely only pick your best pieces that you're very proud of.
That's such a good point. I remember when I was, in my own art program, you wanted to, I mean, you fall in love with your own work sometimes.
Yeah.
You work on it so much, but in the end, it's not about, nobody's going to remember, oh, he had 25 pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
The number of pieces is not going to matter. They're asking if you, after you're done with your donut, if you have a little bit of time, they're asking if you could, Horacio wants to see Bob Patiño.
Who's
If you
that?
can, if you can draw Bob Patiño. I don't know. I thought you knew. Who's
Is
Bob
that
Patiño, chat? ¿Quién es Bob Patiño? El enemigo de Bart. Oh,
Oh,
Bart.
Millhouse.
Yes, I'm not translating. Yes. Sorry, chat.
Yeah,
There you go.
I could do Millhouse.
It's Patiño, Bob Patiño in Latin America.
see what color sprinkle are we missing here.
I do love a good sprinkle donut. Did you know that that actor from the movie Machete, what's his name? Bobby Trejo or something? He has a donut shop.
Jenny.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to go to his donut shop in LA. Apparently, it's amazing.
I will have to do that now. So here's a little Photoshop trick for you. So what I like to do with these sprinkles, I put them on their own layer and I add the bevel to them.
Oh yeah, look, they look 3D now. This could even be turned into a pin. It looks like an enamel pin, right?
Yeah.
They're asking us, what do you like to draw every day besides Homer Simpson or besides the Simpsons?
That's a good question too. I really like drawing my own characters, and I base my characters. If you're familiar with comic books, I really like Frank Miller, who is a hero of mine. He still is a hero of mine. So I love that drawing style. So like I love the old X-Men and who's the other one? Frank Kirby was another one that like the original Fantastic Four. So like all like the 50s, 60s, kind of 80s style comics, like Marvel stuff is what I love to draw on my spare time.
Very cool. Mike, and we have confirmation from the chat that Sketchbook Pro is no longer free.
It's no longer free. Okay.
No longer free, sir.
That's a shame.
Times are changing. So now you know that Bob Patiño is Sideshow Bob.
Oh, Sideshow Bob.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you said Bart's friend.
Bart's enemy.
Bart's enemy. Okay, okay.
Yes. And you just have to learn the Spanish name now. Bob Patiño. That donut is delicious.
Now we just add.
I want to remind everybody who's tuning in Latin America that we have great discounts, great promotions. Tenemos grandes descuentos y promociones de parte de nuestros sponsors. Así que por favor, antes de irse, váyanse una vuelta y vean los grandes descuentos y promociones.
Make sure that you use these discounts.
Para que aprovechen y tengan su tableta Wacom o empiecen a explorar cuál quieren. What's a really cool project right now, Mike, in animation that you're looking at and saying, that's super exciting? Any cool projects coming up that are blowing your mind lately?
Not that I've seen. Because I've been so buried in work.
You've been so busy, you've been missing out.
Yeah, I miss out on all like cool trailers when they come out, or like news when it comes out.
All
It kind
right,
of
chat.
sucks.
Help me make recommendations for Mike because he needs some recommendations. He needs to get a break from The Simpsons. Tell me in the chat what amazing animation projects he should check out, especially in Latin America. If you have some, tell him. Let me tell him.
So this is how we started off with the black color, the blank color, and then the shadows, the lighting.
Every layer adds more deliciousness to this donut.
So that's how you make like flat color, like just pop a little bit more.
Wow. It really does make it look very different. It goes from cartoony to still cartoony, but just slightly realer. That's excellent.
Excellent.
That was a really nice donut.
Thank you. And now for people's requests of, I already forgot how to say it. Bob, what?
Oh, yes, you're going to draw Bob Patiño. Bob Patiño is Sideshow Bob. Here you go, guys.
Yeah, I need to do this where on a different layer. There we go.
When you talk about the animation pipeline and how it helps to go to school to learn how things are done in the studio, do you think that now, because studios are working so differently, that pipeline is gonna like change? How do you think that's gonna, now that you're working from home, have you seen it? Have you seen the animation process change, or is still the same just from home?
It's pretty much the same from home, except you're not everything's done by uploading your files instead of being there in person showing your director.
In terms of creative output, you haven't seen yourself, be like less productive or not come maybe
Well,
less
I mean,
efficient?
obviously everybody's going to be less productive at home. But I mean, at
Are
the
we
end of the
though? I
day, the
feel
work's got to get done.
some people may argue that we're more productive because you're working, more hours, it feels like, since we're not commuting.
Yeah, but that's kind of the problem because since you're at home, you're always working. Work and home life kind of just turns into one. Like I like the fact that I could leave work at work and then come back to it the next day. You can't really do that at home.
Mike, have you seen Hell of a Bus and or Has Been Hotel?
No.
Carlos Manuel was wondering. Hell of a Bus
Hell of
and
a
Has Been,
bus.
yeah.
Oh, I gotta write that down. Just confirming this is who they're talking about, right?
Chat, is this who you were talking about? Yes,
Okay.
I think it is. When you get a chance, can you repeat the name of the books? People are really interested.
Oh yeah, so it's animator survival toolkit is one. And then the other one is Preston Blair.
And yes, that is the character.
Okay.
I love how you just know each, how to draw them exactly.
Well,
by
it's probably not
memory.
exactly. There's probably a few things I'm doing wrong here.
But only a Simpsons insider would know, I guess. Or a super fan.
Super fan, yeah.
Wow. Do you ever feel, Diego Temporetti is asking, do you ever feel that after 15 years working in the same show, that you can't draw any other style after a while?
Sometimes it feels like that. I'll notice I'll be doodling, and then all of a sudden I'm still drawing, characters in the Simpsons style.
How do you
It
combat
takes over
that?
your life. um, it's very hard, but you just have to break away and do other things. When we were at the studio, every Tuesday night we would have life drawing, so that gave me a chance to break away and do like more realistic stuff. But it's been 2 years since that, so well, almost 2 years. So I haven't had any good like life drawing sessions ever. That really helps though.
Wow. Camilo Rodriguez is saying that you did in 5 minutes what it would have taken him 2 days. Incredible speed drawing.
Of course, this is all rough too.
Now you're just bragging, Mike.
Of course, his other enemy is Pussy.
I'm always so mean to you, Mike. You always call me out. No, I'm not mean.
Let's fix that a bit.
Do you have any favorite Simpsons characters? Which ones do you relate more to? Vanya Ramirez.
I mean, that's an easy question. That's just Homer.
Homer, always
I
Homer.
love beer. I love donuts. I'm lazy.
What about you, Vanya? Which one's your favorite? Who do you relate to in The Simpsons? Do you like Millhouse?
Do I?
Yes.
He's annoying, but yeah. Let's see if I can draw him from memory. He's one of those characters I don't draw too often.
Vanya, the person who asked the question, says that her favorite is Lisa. Lisa.
That's a coincidence because that's Millhouse's favorite too.
I like Lisa too. She's smart.
She's
Our friend,
definitely the voice of reason in the show.
our
Uh,
Argentina community manager, Mariel, says that she loves Ralph.
oh, really?
That's the best one, Camilo says. The best one is Ralph.
Yeah, I could do it, Ralph here. Let's see where can I fit him in.
Well, we're just thrilled to watch you draw all of our favorite characters so quickly because
See, I like
we
drawing for
wonder
you
how they're
guys better. You
created.
guys don't judge me. If it was my
No,
director, he would make me redo it a billion times.
no, the chat's not judging. They're like, what? 6, 7 characters? What? I think everybody's gonna go after this webinar and try to draw their own Simpsons. And you should go follow Mike Atniel and send them your version of
Yeah,
Homer.
I'd love to see him.
Go show him. Maybe he'll be like, "What? I'm done. I need to retire." What? No. It's time for another project. Don't even think about that, Elizabeth.
I'll give you guys a Marge too.
They're saying that where's Homer? Where's Homer? But he made one already. He showed us the Homer formula. Now let's see if you can remember the formula and do it yourself. All right. Eduardo Bautista has a question. When you're making a brand new character,
Uh-huh.
let me see. How do you conceptualize the characteristics that this character should have from physical to personality?
Usually we look at the description for the character. So usually in the script, they'll say like, oh, this character has this kind of attitude, or let's like perfect example would be like, mafia, like the mob bosses, like Fat Tony. So that they reference like other movies. Like I think they based him off of the Goodfellas, the boss, Paulie. I think that's what he's based off of. So he's kind of like, chunky. He's got like the rings and like the open shirt. So based on what kind of person they are, if they're weak, obviously you're gonna make them scrawny. So it all depends on the writer's description of the character. Were they asking for another Homer?
They were saying that where's Homer in the collage that you were making earlier, but you're making him now. Camilo Rodriguez, is there a secret to draw in the Simpson style?
Yeah, a lot of people draw these characters thinking they're flat, but you have to remember like they all have volumes. Like Bart, you have to remember his head's like a can. Like Marge,
Right.
even Marge, she has volumes. Because most people will go in and draw Bart like
Yes.
straight down and do that. Like, oh, why does it look wrong? Because they forget that these are actually they're living 3D characters, but we're just not drawing them, not rendering them in 3D, but they're still. So when you're drawing Bart's eyes, you have to make sure they're, one's here and then one's going to be a little smaller on this side, and the nose is between.
That's a great tip. I think that would make your own Simpsons look more realistic. So
But people forget because it's a cartoon and they're drawn. They forget that they're actually like they're round and they have volume. Yeah, and people always end up doing this. They go straight down, and they do that, and then they put the eyes. They'll make the eyes like this. This is what I always see.
yeah.
That's how Matt Groening draws them.
Mike, if you're gonna make another one, you
Yeah.
have Mike. I think I'm gonna lose a friendship if you don't make Nelson.
Oh, that's my favorite. Well, not my favorite character, but one of my favorites to draw. Because you're both bullies, right? You're
No,
both mean to me. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm-
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I'm the nicest. Does the studio does the studio work with freelance illustrators or no?
No, everything's in-house.
Everything is in-house.
You can look a little more angry. He looks kind of worried there. There we go.
Yeah, the one time you drew me like this. This is how you made me look, Mike. You made me look like Nelson. You made my mouth look like that. All right, chat. We have a few more minutes left. Please go follow Mike Atniel at iDrawHomer on Instagram. Go bug him over there. Go say hi to him. Ask him questions. He's such a joy to watch, and he's always sharing stuff on his channel as well. So go check him out. He was very flexible because we asked him to come here to teach us a little bit about color and rendering and
Well, now I know for next time to do animation.
well, obviously we want to know everything, a little bit about everything, and you're so multifaceted.
That's because I love everything, because I want to put I want to get my hands on everything, not just only animation. Like, what do they call it? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Well, if you learned something from Mike today, learn the Homer Simpson formula that you must learn his favorite programs. They'll help you if you're looking for animation toolkit. He recommended some great ones. You must master things like Toon Boom. And yeah, I want to thank my team for being such troopers during Wacom Academy. We've been working all day. And I want to thank the chat for being just equally loyal. They've been here all day with us. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias a todo mundo que sintonizó todo el día en Wacom Academy y toda la semana que hemos estado programando webinars con nuestros amigos artistas. Agradecemos a todas las regiones que estuvieron, a los sponsors, que sin ustedes no hubiera sido posible nada de esto. Gracias infinitas. A mi equipo en el chat que siempre están atentos
the team on the chat that is always aware of the questions, and the chat for being such a nice sport.
Such a great audience. To the translators who made everything possible as well. Thank you very much. Mike, any parting words for our Latin America audience that tuned in to watch it tonight?
I know that we have a lot of fans over there. Just want to thank them for watching the show and keeping it alive. It's for people like you that we keep making the show. So I'm glad you guys are still enjoying it.
Oh my God, yes. Cult following for life. We love The Simpsons. We love you for spending time with us and sharing a little piece of your world.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Chat, I invite you to don't let this opportunity pass. Please participate in Wacom Academy. I'm sorry, Wacom Atrévete 2021 for a chance to win one of 10 Wacom ones that we're giving away. You have until October 5th. All you have to do is think about who saved you, who was your superhero this pandemic, and literally turn them into a superhero. It can be a photograph, it can be an animation, it can be it doesn't have to be a digital drawing. You can submit your traditional paper drawings. It has to be on Instagram with the hashtag Wacom Academy 2021. You have until October 5th. We want all of these prizes to go directly to you and brighten this pandemic up for you. Thank you so much to my team. It's a wrap.